With the release of Moment of Triumph, Raid and Dungeon Loot got an update to feature new perks on weapons and armor. Spire got one of the strongest sets in the entire game. However, Spire of the Watcher is a dungeon that a lot of people just struggle with, be it due to the short damage phases that it will cover, and just the damage that the bosses do and surviving overall. Having solo one-phase Persys on Hunt up last season and this season on Warlock, I wanted to break down the encounter to share my knowledge so that everyone can solo it, and maybe even farm the loot that they want. Let me quickly break down the boss. Persys is a wyvern with a small and annoying crit. He has 158k 1000 health and 22 seconds for a DPS phase, meaning that you need around 7k DPS to clear him in one phase, which is manageable but requires some setup. The easiest way to do this right now, and the way that I'll be doing this in this video, is on Warlock. We are on pure solo with Song of Flame, Celestial Fire, and Hellion, and the fragments we're using are Ashes, Torches, Eruption, and Char. Char and Eruption aren't overly necessary, and you only actually need Torches and Ashes to clear, as this is free Scorch, which turns into free Ignitions, as well as a Radiant buff for your Truth damage. In terms of stats, for damage you want 200 super and 200 melee. In Song of Flame, all abilities count as super damage, and you get a 45% increase from the 200 super stat, but Celestial Fire also receives the melee bonuses even in the super, so we can get an extra 30% from the 200 melee. On top of this, we're using Winter's Guile for an exotic, and the melee buff from that is a 5x damage increase. And we're tying it all together with the Queen's Foil artifact, specifically Solo Up and Argent Ordnance. Solo Up increases your damage by up to 30% for getting 25 precision kills, and Argent Ordnance gives you an extra 50% rocket damage for just having Armored Charge. But why these mods? As the boss is too far away, getting a high level weaken and then still having a prep truth isn't viable, so we're using Solo Op as a pseudo weaken, as it comes out to being the same. The idea being, if you can't debuff something by 30%, buff yourself by 30% to compensate. With all the basics out of the way, let's talk about the clear. First thing you want to get out of the way is prepping your truth. Luckily this is easy. There are 2 boss hydras that spawn and they don't die from one shot. Shoot the hydra with 1 rocket and then kill with anything else, and make sure not to reload afterwards. Do the same with the other one, and then you can shoot 1 set of the adds that spawn and reload to have the boosted fire rate and the bonus damage from the catalysts pocketed for your DPS phase. This is where we can do the rest of our prep. As this is a checkpoint, you will have to get 25 precision kills before moving on. It's also at this point it's worth mentioning how the adds spawn in this encounter. There are 3 base spawn locations, 1 in each lane. The outside lane also features an alternative spawn point too. Each spawn does a check at the location and spawns 5 enemies, 3 supplicants and 2 goblins. You have to kill 3 of the 5 enemies for the next set to spawn. This works out great as you can kill the supplicants and leave the goblins for your damage prep. Spawns can also overlap and fill up the enemy cap again. If that didn't make sense, here's an example. If you killed all the supplicants on the left side and there was a left spawn, it would only spawn 3 supplicants as there were already 2 goblins, and you can't have more than 2 goblins and 3 supplicants on one side. This is also useful as if you killed 1 goblin by accident and there would be a spawn on that side again, it would spawn 1 goblin and 3 supplicants to fill up the cap again. This prep stage of prepping the spawns is a little RNG and a bit tedious, but it's important. If you shoot all the nodes to open the door to the reactor room, it stops all spawns in that room and forces them in the reactor room. It's also worth prepping all your goblins by making them finishable before completing the inner nodes, but that's important for a different reason that I will explain later. We're at the stage now where we want to complete the encounter to the point where we're about to shoot the last node. We're also going to want to generate at least 5 armor charge at this point for our DPS phase. 5 is the safest number as you have enough stored time to start and finish DPS with this damage setup. I've tried with 3 and ran out as my super ended and I didn't clear as a result. Once the new set of ants spawn in middle, you want to complete this set by shooting the final node, and start glaive meleeing all the ants to build 5 stacks of Winter's Guile. From here, leaving the room, you will lose 1 stack on the way out, but you can finish your first prepped goblin to get an extra 3 stacks up to times 7. From here, we can use the remaining 2 out of 3 goblins to maintain a stack count of 7 or above. Swapping to your damage loadout and finishing the last goblin gives you up to times 10 stacks, ready for your damage on your next melee. Super, Phoenix Dive, and then you can spam your melees as the door opens. As you're spamming your melees, your focus needs to be on the Winter Guile buff timer, as your super lasts longer and then there's no point in meleeing if you don't have the buff. As soon as it ends, you need to be firing Truth, as you need to get off 3 volleys of the rocket to clear. As the last seconds of this video play, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. I will be looking for damage strategies on other classes, and I hope to do more dungeon guides soon. Until then, see you Starside.